Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, the Supreme Court has put a temporary stay or an administrative stay on Judge Paula's court order requiring Donald Trump and his illegal administration and his DOJ to rightfully, legally, and constitutionally return Kilmar Abrego Garcia by 11:59, a stroke before midnight tonight. What all does the reporting detail? Well, let's break that down in today's legal breaking reporting by BBC. The article, ladies and gentlemen, is titled U.S. Supreme Court Pauses Order Requiring Return of Deported Man. Put that dog down and go do not bring that dog. And ladies and gentlemen, the article reads, the Supreme Court has granted a request by the Trump administration to temporarily block a lower court order requiring that a deported Salvadorian man be returned to the U.S. Chief Justice John Roberts agreed to pause a ruling that Kilmar Abrego Garcia should be brought back from El Salvador by midnight on Monday. Tonight, April 7, my editorial edition, ladies and gentlemen. The government has said that Mr. Garcia was deported on 15 March due to an administrative error. What in the actual effing hell? Are you effing kidding me, ladies and gentlemen? What kind of BS is this? Ridiculous. Continuing with the article. The government has said Mr. Garcia was deported on March 15, 20, due to administrative error. Although they also allege he is a member of MS-13 gang, which his lawyers deny. His lawyer denies. In its emergency appeal to America's highest court, the administration of Donald Trump, my editorial edition, argued the Maryland judge lacked the authority to issue the order that the U.S. officials cannot compel El Salvador to return Mr. Garcia. That is effectively bullshit and a flat-out lie, ladies and gentlemen. They're paying the El Salvadorian government to imprison him illegally. They just don't want to lose money. Because that's all Donald Trump cares about. He doesn't care about anybody. He doesn't even care about the American people, like he so proclaims. He's an illegal, corrupt, moronic, rapist, criminal. What do you expect? U.S. Solicitor General D. John Sauer wrote in his emergency court filing, the United States does not control the sovereign nation of El Salvador, nor can it compel El Salvador to follow a federal judge's bidding. Again, ladies and gentlemen, that is effectively BS and a flat-out lie. They have the right to do that, and they can do that. They just do not want to force the government of El Salvador to stop paying or stop receiving money from us to illegally deport these people. He added, the Constitution charges the President, not federal district courts, with the conduct of foreign diplomacy and protecting the nation against foreign terrorists, including by effectuating their removal. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi welcomed Justice Roberts' stay and said the administration will continue to fight this case and protect the executive branch from judicial overreach. Okay, judicial overreach. Pam Bondi, why don't you shut the hell up? You know nothing. You're a 27-year-old female broad that knows nothing and thinks you know even a slimming glimpse of constitutional law and constitutional authority. You need to shut the hell up. You have no room to be, nor the qualifications to be Attorney General. Chief Justice Roberts' administrative stay on Monday afternoon will allow the Supreme Court to consider the case. Mr. Garcia, 29, is being held at a maximum security prison in El Salvador known as Terrorism Confinement Center, CCOT. Along with hundreds of other men, the U.S. has deported over allegations of criminal and gang activity. His wife, Jennifer Vasquez, is a U.S. citizen and has called for his release. He was reportedly working as a sheet metal worker when he was detained last month. Mr. Garcia entered the U.S. illegally as a teenager. In 2019, he was arrested with 3 other men in Maryland and detained by federal immigration authorities. During a hearing before an immigration judge, the Homeland Security Department said a proven and reliable source had confirmed that Mr. Garcia had ties to MS-13, a street gang that started in 2019, in Los Angeles, but with roots in El Salvador. But Mr. Garcia's attorneys argued that their client had no gang connections or criminal history. Hence, ladies and gentlemen, the Trump administration has no legal authority in deporting this young man. An administrative stay is not a win for Trump or his illegal administration or his illegal lawlessness of a DOJ. It is only temporary. You liberals, right-wingers, you right-wingers need to know the actual definitions of administrative stays, etc. That is why I will have a link down below to a video describing what an administrative stay is when the Supreme Court issues one. Another immigration judge granted Mr. Garcia protection from deportation in 2019 on the grounds that he might be at risk of persecution from local gangs in his home country. The family's lawyer, Simon Sandoval Moschenberg, called Mr. Garcia's deportation last month the equivalent of a forcible expulsion. Responding to the Chief Justice's order Monday afternoon, Mr. Sandoval Moschenberg said, "This is just a temporary administrative stay. We have full confidence that the Supreme Court will resolve this matter as quickly as possible." Last week, U.S. District Judge Paula Zenas, who was appointed by former President Barack Obama, grilled the Trump administration's attorney during a hearing over the deportation. Justice Department lawyer Eric Ruvini told her that Mr. Garcia should not have been removed. Over the weekend, Bondi announced Mr. Ruvini, a 15-year veteran of the department, had been placed on paid administrative leave for failing to zealously advocate on behalf of the United States. In a scathing opinion released on Sunday, Judge Zenas found that the U.S. government's error shocks the conscience. She said the government had acted without any lawful authority and was holding Mr. Garcia in direct contravention of U.S. law. The Trump administration escalated the case to a Maryland appeals court, which denied their request to stay Judge Zenas' order. The Supreme Court then issued its ruling just hours ahead of the deadline to return Mr. Garcia by 23:59 on Monday night, 3:59 a.m. GMT Tuesday. Which is 11:59 p.m. a stroke before midnight, ladies and gentlemen. Continuing with the last sentence of the article. The Trump administration called that deadline impossible. ladies and gentlemen, it's only impossible because the Trump administration is lazy and illegal, as well as Trump's DOJ and administration are all lazy and corrupt. They could have easily just complied, but instead they refused unlawfully, willingly, instead of rightfully complying. That's what criminals do. They don't comply with orders. That is going to do it for today's legal breaking reporting, ladies and gentlemen. If you did enjoy this legal breaking reporting, please do consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. If you do not, or if you do want to make sure that you never miss a brand new legal breaking reporting and legal breaking analysis video update, please consider hitting the bell icon that is right next to the subscribe button below on the right hand side below the screen here. Another way you guys can stay up to date on when I post a brand new legal breaking analysis reporting to the channel, you guys can follow me on my social medias that I will have linked down below, along with the very important vital news article by BBC reporting that unfortunately they paused, but only temporary, for now. Thirdly and lastly, ladies and gentlemen, please help me reach and achieve the overall channel goal of 150 plus subscribers. The reason why I'm saying 150 plus subscribers is because right after we reach and achieve the goal of 150 plus subscribers, we have more subscribers to achieve and reach. Right after we achieve and reach the goal of 150 subscribers. Until my next reporting, ladies and gentlemen, please stay safe, please stay positive, and know that justice will prevail, despite Donald Trump and his illegal administration's unlawful, unconstitutional, illegal executive orders and actions.